Hello, today I wanted to make this video because I've done my own research on YouTube for ultrasonic sensor obstacle avoiding cars, and what I found is there's not a lot of videos telling you, like, talking about the setup. I mean, yeah, they talk about the setup of the sensors a lot, like they show you like how the car is built, but they never go in depth about the code. And most of the time the self-driving vehicle is just the standard differential drive two-wheel car or four-wheel drive at most. But this is not enough. Honestly, for my own project, I did not find any videos that will show me how to actually make an obstacle avoiding car in my own setup. So what I did is I used ChatGPT and myself and figured it out here. I'm gonna first show you the setup of the vehicle. Okay, so here's my ultrasonic sensor setup. First of all, I don't use these two, okay, so you don't need to worry about them. What you would really want to do, actually, or what I did, you have one servo, it rotates and scans. The reason why it's a rotating servo instead of having these still ones, I don't use these still ones by the way, is because these still ones have really huge blind spots, and if you want to fill them in, you would have to put in too many sensors, which will slow down the code. So we have this one ultrasonic sensor that scans, and that, it basically has no blind spots in the front, and it's perfect. I have this lower sensor, so if there's a short sync here, it can see it and stop, all right? Because it kept crashing into short stuff. Also, next sensor I use is in the rear. Here. In the rear, we have only one sensor, just so when backing up, like if you get stuck in the front, like there's really no way to go, it would just reverse. All right. Now, I made this drawing to simplify the sensor placement because your car might not look the same. Basically, my car is basically like a normal truck where you have rear wheels and the front wheels are turning so it can steer, you know, instead of differential drive. Now, this is the setup I'm using, so my method will work the best for it, obviously. There's a lot of tutorials on differential drives. I don't really, like, it's not my thing, I'm not doing it. Anyways, here is the oldest sensor placement in the vehicle. Let's look, okay. As you can see, we have the rear sensor, which is most important for reversing when there's no pass up front. We got the lower front sensor, actually, so nothing gets in the front. And we have these sensors on the side that I used to use. I used to use all of these. But the issue with these guys is that having too many sensors in your code slows down the code a ton, like 2-second delays, I'm saying. And now I've tried to figure this out with ChatGPT to speed them up, but it was kind of like sketchy. It was just weird, and things were really complicated. So I recommend that you don't use too many sensors at once. If you want the fastest code, obviously. But obviously you can use more sensors for anyways, this old iteration, basically what happened is I wrote some code for it to drive, right? We're gonna get into codes later. And what happened is when it would crash in these blind spots, like it would keep bumping into thin objects that were in these blind spots, and it was really inaccurate. Like, it was actually terrible. It just kept crashing head first into any object that fell into the blind spot, and that's terrible. We don't want blind spots, and it never worked out, okay? So scrap this iteration. Let's go to the next one. This is what I'm currently doing. So I'm using this top sensor that rotates, right? And this bottom sensor for short object, rear sensor for reversing. I'm not using any of these guys up here. So we're only using 3 sensors, which makes for a really quick code. I mean, really fast code. Here's a more detailed drawing on the coverage this thing brings. Obviously, this is not included. We can just delete these side sensors. Now, this is what it does. You have some pretty good coverage up front, and it works perfectly. For any advanced self-driving code, having a servo and an ultrasonic sensor is the best in what I've seen, obviously. This is the logic of the code simplified. A few notes about it is it's not perfected yet, and it has an infinite loop glitch, which you will see later in the practical driving test. Now, let's begin. You can read this. I'm just going to simplify it. If there is space around the car, and we have more than a meter of space ahead, and there's an object less than 2 meters in front of us, we're going to move forward and turn to whichever direction the clearest path is towards. So we can turn before we get to this object towards the clearest path. And after that, we have side scrape protection. If there's a wall very close to any side, it would turn away from it. We got the else if. If there is space around the car and there is more than 45 centimeters of space ahead, we move forward and turn towards whichever side the clearest path is on. We also here have the same side scrape protection, and that's it. The else if ends. Now, if all this isn't true, then we're gonna move behind and check where the clearest path is towards. If it's towards the right, we're gonna move backwards and steer to the left, so our face will end up pointing to the right. Same thing on the left. If there is a path on the left, we're gonna move backwards and steer right, so our face will point to the left. Now, if there is no space on both sides, we're just gonna go straight backwards. Now, if all this isn't true, if there is no space around us, we're gonna hit the brakes and stop. Now, what this wiggle maneuver here is the car would try to wiggle its way out of any tight corner or any small space it's stuck in. Here's a few notes you can read about the thing. Yep, that's it. Let's focus on the actual technical code. I'll try to link it in the description or paste it in the description. It's my most stable code so far for this thing. Obviously, you want to tune the numbers of distance thresholds to your car's needings. Okay, let's actually start simple, okay? Obviously, we include the newping library, which there's a lot of tutorials on YouTube on how to download it. I recommend a video from the DroneBot workshop on ultrasonic sensors, and it will show you how to set up the newping, download the newping, sorry. All you need to do is just download it, and I'm gonna actually write the code for the newping here, obviously. Okay, so we include newping, we include the Serial.h, obviously. We include, I include the display, because I have a display here. And I use this display to show me what the car is doing and thinking for troubleshooting live while it's driving. If you don't have a display, it's okay, just print in the serial monitor. Okay, you don't have to write the display, obviously. If you don't have it, okay. Next up, also display, here you go. Servo, obviously. Now here's the code. Now this is just my own definitions and stuff. All right, defining servo pin, initial servo position, other pins that you don't need to care about these guys, except the motor driver pins. Now you want to set up your motor driver. You know, it depends on your motor driver, how you set it up. This is how I set up my IB2T, which is like VTS 7960 or something. Motor driver, set up your motor driver however, okay. We go next off, we got the settings here. These settings, you just tweak them for your car's requirements, like how big your car is, how much distance you need before you want to stop, all this stuff. You just want to keep tweaking until it gets good. These are my initial values here. Okay, so this is like the servo steer angle, left and right. This is the servo center. Okay, so this speed is me setting the motor's PWM speed. The reason why it's searchy is because I have the code written, so the frequency of the PWM is at 20 kilohertz, I think. So it's like silent. If you want to just write digital write, analog write, like the standard PWM for easiness, obviously the minimum PWM frequency is 60 when you're using analog write for motors, if you don't know. Anyways, here's speed. You don't need to care about this. Now you need to care about these. These are the self-driving values. They're super important. If they're not tuned right, you won't have a proper driving. Okay. You need these variables too. Copy and paste them, obviously. You define your ultrasonic pins. I have way more than 3. I define all of them, but I'm just using only 3 of them. So just define the 3 of your ultrasonic sensors in that setup I showed you. If you're using more, just, I guess, don't use them. But if you want to use them, you're gonna have to edit the code, okay? Okay, time defense. You want to have, okay, so this time defense thing allows the car to start, stop, start, stop. I'm gonna show you how the car runs after the code. Yeah, you just want to paste this, copy and paste. You have to copy and paste hazard state, okay? It's, I didn't name it right, okay? It's just basically like the state of updating the stop or go. It's a dumb name, just copy and paste, okay? Okay, so we have void setup here. Obviously, set up your ultrasonics. I'm setting up my display, and obviously serial will begin if you want to debug. We got servo.attach, blue servo.attach. Okay, so first of all, this servo.attach, careful with these numbers here, okay? You don't want to write these numbers in your code. You would want to delete them unless your servo specifies a certain range of like frequencies or something, all right? Like the minimum and maximum like cycle, duty cycle or whatever. You would want to delete this if you just have a normal servo, but I specify here for my special case, okay? So yeah, careful with this, okay? This could actually lead your servo to turn too much and break something if you have like a setup. So just stay safe, okay? And blue servo is just standard, obviously. Blue servo is obviously the top servo here, and the other servo is like the wheel steering servo, all right? All right, now these are the direction pins. I'm just specifying them. These lights, you don't need to care about them at all. Delete them if you want. Your setup is probably not the same. Okay, motor settings. This is what makes the motor run at a very high frequency of like here, 20 kilohertz. I use ChatGPT to help me with this code. Don't take it like it's AI slot. I actually like put a lot of thought into this, and I'm just using it as like, it just works, man. Okay, try for yourself if you want. Anyways, display welcome message. You don't need this. It's just a message I like to write on my display. I set it up in a void down here, but just delete this if you don't want. Okay, so Serial.print setup complete. This is for debugging. We go on for the void loop. I've got this millis here. Now it's just so the car can drive, stop, because if it kept on driving, it could crash before it could even update, which is bad. I've actually tested this. So I've got this millis thing. If you want it to just keep going, remove millis, but I don't recommend it because it makes it behave way worse. Okay, here's the actual code for scanning, okay? Now, you just want to copy and paste this code. This is obviously for the blue ultrasonic sensor servo. So the servo like turns its head 7 times, like scans like 7 different angles or more, like 0 to 1080 degrees with 30-degree steps like it says. I've got the description written out. You don't need to really think about this. Anyways, for int I angle, okay, so this makes it loop through the angle of turning its head. Okay, we got the delay, read distance from both sensors. Not both, actually, because we don't have only 2 sensors, we have 3 sensors here. But this used to be an old code that I updated. So just don't mind some of these, they don't make sense. Anyways, read distance from both sensors, or 3 of the sensors we're using here. You don't need that lower front sensor if you don't want, but I have it so it can avoid stuff that are below. Okay, so if you only have 2, like front and back, it's all right, remove the lower one. But keep in mind it could bump into stuff on the bottom if your car is tall. Okay, next up, we got read distance, new variables. Okay, so basically it captures angles for later lines of code here. All right, next. We print the angles in the serial monitor. Now, all these serial prints actually slow down your code. So this is just for debugging. Once you're done and you're sure your car runs properly and you want to finalize your code, delete, or actually not delete, but you would want to do this. See that? Every serial print statement, just do this on it. Basically, it's removed from the code now. And that will speed up your car a ton. Not a ton, but it will make a difference, trust me. You would want the best performance, don't you? Anyways, next up, distance is angle. I don't really know what this does. Just copy and paste, whatever. Print measurements to serial monitor. I know it's not professional, but anyways. I'm printing stuff to serial monitor here again. Doesn't matter for the actual functionality. Copy and paste if you want. Determine clear path. Now, this is important for the decision making. All right. Now hazard state, it's not hazard light. It's important for the code. Don't remove it, okay? Here's the line of code. Obviously it says int clear path angle. So we got the clear path angle variable stored here, okay? It says equals find clear path in the distances. Now this here is a millis function. And here, this stop here will make the car stop. So this is actually what keeps making the car go, stop, go, stop. This line of code over here. If you don't want it to go and stop, what you would do is you would delete this, okay? And what you do, all right, is you would delete this, and this like that. If it doesn't work, think about it, please. Sorry. I might have made a mistake, but anyways, if you have a problem, just comment down. I'm gonna make a separate video about it because I hate having to suffer for a long time. I know it's good for learning, but I'm trying to help out here. Serial.print reverse loop. All right. So basically, this reverse loop, it's basically I just copy and paste the entire top code, but just invert everything. The reason why this happens is because instead of just turning left and then snapping back, it just inverts this thing and just scans like all over again. Now this is, okay. Reverse loop, I don't really need to explain this. I explained, like it's basically inverting what happened on the top. You want to copy all of this, okay? Reverse loop. Sorry, here. Keep going. Copy. Printing. Here again. Same thing. All right. Oh, and here, in the end of the void loop, this is the void loop ends here. Before the end of void loop, I just like to print on my display this message. You don't have to, if you don't have a display, delete this, okay? Or else your code won't run. By the way, if you want to run this display, you're gonna have to download a liquid crystal library. There's a ton of tutorials on this. I'm not making one right now. Sorry. Void loop ends, okay? Now these are functions down here under the void loop. Now int read distance, this reads distance from every sensor you have. Okay, this is how it is. I'm not gonna explain it because I really know myself. I actually kind of know, but like, you know, you can just copy and paste it, it's okay. This takes the distances and converts them to centimeters. I got this from tutorials and stuff from the Drone Bot Workshop and other YouTubers, so yeah. Okay, now this line of code is pretty weird. So what will happen is, if something is literally touching your sensor from how close it is, your sensor will just ignore it and think it's the max distance because of this line of code I wrote. But when I delete this line of code, my car keeps misreading some inputs and stopping, thinking there's something blocking it, even though there's nothing. It's really weird. It's a weird bug, and I'm just forced to keep this line of code. If you can remove it, then remove it. But it's okay, just keep it if you don't want to think about it too hard. You can debug for the sensor readings. This is pretty good. If you want to know if you have a faulty sensor, just unhide this code here, like this. All right. Okay, then you return distance, next. Find clear path, okay? This is pretty important. Okay, I got this from ChatGPT, so I don't really know how to explain it. Okay, copy and paste all of this, okay? All right, and what you want to do is look at this, weighted distance. All right, so this is how much you want to favor the straight path. The more the values, the more your car will prefer the forward path more than any other path. You can tweak it however you like and actually think about the code, because it has a ton of markings, you know, it tells you what it does, you know. Also, originally 50, it used to, ChatGPT gave me the code with a 50 bias, and I changed it to 15 because it's better for my case. Debugging, all right. Special case if all angles above 200 prioritize a straight path. So it means that if every single angle reading is reading above 200 centimeters of distance, just select the forward path. And here it is, copy and paste, obviously. Just copy and paste the whole code. So what you want to do is copy and paste the code as I put it in the description or something. And then you want to edit it along with me as I tell you what should be edited and what should be not. Just to help you really set it up for yourself. Anyways, okay. All right. Int find minimal distance. What is this for? Okay, so minimal distance is the littlest recorded distance throughout the whole scan. And what this does is, let's say a bottle is touching here on the corner, right? And the car scans all through, and the closest thing to it here is on this angle here. It's this bottle, and it has the shortest distance. Now, it detects that something is super close to its face because it detected a very short distance around its field. And it can actually be like, oh, I bumped into something. Let me go away, okay? You need this, this is very important. So find minimal distance, important. All right. Okay, ignore this whole thing. This is just me thinking. I actually forgot what it was. So basically, just copy and paste this, okay? Don't change this at all, please. Or else your code will break. Now, void navigate is really the decision making. This is my code for it, okay? You can write your own code in the void navigate, but it's torture. And I made this video just to show you the current algorithm I've developed for self-driving that I couldn't really find online because maybe I'm bad at researching. But yeah, making it easy here on YouTube. So if front min distance, okay, 18. Now, you need to tweak this value, okay? 18 here, you would tweak it for every instance minimal distance is above 18, you would change it to a different number. Now, 18 is like how close something is before it sinks it bumped into it. Look, it says brake cornered because it sinks, it's bumped into this, see? Now, you need to tweak this value. You take a measuring tape here, and you want to see how far something needs to be before it touches the car. For my case, it's like, I make it 18 centimeters just for, you know, for good. And add a little extra. So it doesn't have to completely crash to feel it. It gets close and like, oh, I'm gonna crash. And it detects it, okay? Change it for your car's needs. All right. And we here, front distance, okay. You wanna see this whole code. Okay, I'm gonna explain it. If front minimal distance is less than 18, this checks if there's something touching the front of your car, okay? And, which is and in the coding. Distance straight ahead and lower front distance are above double the threshold. Threshold is like how much centimeters before it detects it and tries to go away. You tweak it above in the settings. And distance straight ahead is less than 220 centimeters, which is the double threshold, but I wrote it wrong or whatever. All right, here's the code. This is all LCD. All right, this is Serial.print, so you want to copy this. Okay, if clear pass angle is less than 90, steering servo.right map from 0, 90, right center. This is like, so it can dynamically get out of corners instead of just turning too sharp or turning too little. It just dynamically adjusts. Now you would want to actually change the values however you want. Let's say the car turns way too little in corners and just keeps hitting the side. So you should just, instead of starting off with 0, yeah, you can start off from like 20 centimeters of steering angle, yeah. This is just showing you the code. I'm gonna explain how this works logically later. New side scrape protection code. Okay, so this code is to protect it from scraping the sides. Yes, it goes next to a wall, right? And its sides keep scraping, but it doesn't really care. It doesn't really go away. So I put this code to say, if there's a wall beside you and you're gonna scrape it, just move a little away from it, you know? And here's that code. You wanna write it. Major if statement ends. I call this the major if statement. This up here, this big if statement. Okay, and then it ends here. You got the else if statement. Now, I'm not really gonna explain all this. It's gonna take me an hour. Now again here, you tweak this 18 to whatever number you tweaked above as well. You want to change every 18 to however number you like, or just keep it 18 if it works. All right, change this 18 to whatever number you changed up above. Okay, all right. Okay. You wanna only copy this if you don't have a display. No, I'm sorry. You only want to copy this if you don't have a display. I'm sorry. Don't unhide this code, or don't even write it. It's gonna ruin the algorithm. Same thing here again, and the other if statement to turn left and right dynamically. Of course, I made a mistake here. As you can see, the side scrape protection should not be inside of the brackets of the else if clear pass angle is above 90. It should have been underneath. If you were copying from my screen, this is how you fix it. Control X, and then put it underneath here like that. Control V, and here we go. We have it. Now the code I will put in the description will not have this problem. So if you copy the code from the description, you don't need to do this. Slide protection again. Okay. This connects. Where does it connect? See, here I was confused about it because it didn't make sense because it was wrong. You just want to copy all this. Again okay. Now another else if. As you can see, copy it all. Right, so steering servo.right, center, left, and right. You would obviously define these values on the top in the settings area, where you would set the maximum angle left, right, but don't make it the max. Just make it a safe, good angle for the left, right degrees, and the center, which is obviously 90 degrees. You would want to define these so these values don't turn so much that it breaks your motor. Because it happened to me. I broke my motor because I accidentally set the value of steering too high. All right, and lastly, it says else. If all this fails, just hit the brakes and stop completely. And it just prints out cornered. You're gonna see this later. And khalas. This is the end of void navigate. This is like the end of the basically algorithm or decision-making code. Okay, here is the voids. All these stuff that we've been calling above. What you wanna do, defining these voids, right? We'll start with void forward. Okay, so this, you would keep this the same if you copied the 20 kilohertz frequency. But if you want to just use the standard frequency of the Arduino, because it's really simple, you would delete all of this, okay? And instead, write, so analog write. I'm not doing it right, I'm using one hand. Analog write. Your motor's, the pin's defined name, which is the forward pin here, so we write forward. And then we make it the same as the bottom. Okay, this says speed. All right. Now speed is just the defined speed up here in the settings of your thing, and you would want to make the speed above 60 if you're using the standard. But if you're using my setup, the minimal speed you can make it is like 24%. The other one, anyways, speed, whatever defined speed you put, and then you would digital write. Okay, you would digital write backwards. The backwards pin's name, right? In your certain. Okay, I'm gonna stop it from moving. Okay, backward, and it says 0 here, so backwards we caps lock low. 0 is low, basically. You could also write analog instead of this. You can delete this and write analog write backwards 0, which will also put it to low. All right, this is what you would do if you're not using my 20 kilohertz setup. Oh yeah, it depends on your motor driver, how's the frequency and stuff. Same thing here. I'm gonna leave this because I don't want it. Same here with backwards. All right, and this is what you do for backwards. Copy this if you're not gonna use my setup, as I've said. I'm gonna delete this now. All right, and now last thing, void break, which makes it completely stop. Here you would, of course, delete these and you write digital write forward low and digital write backwards low. Obviously I don't want this. All right, digital write red high. It's just because I have a red light. If you don't have a red light, remove all these red highs, or else your code won't run. All right, this thing, this is the LCD. Delete this if you don't have an LCD. Serial.print no escape for debugging, obviously. Okay, this is void stop. Another function here. It does the same thing as brake, but just do what I did. Anyways, avoid stop. It makes it go and stop, go and stop. It's so same thing here, forward and backwards low. Remove these, right, digital right forward low, digital right backwards low. If you're not gonna use my current 20 kilohertz frequency setup, steering servo dot right center. You delete this if you don't have a light, as I said. Same thing here. And LCD, you delete all these if you don't have an LCD. Okay. Void display welcome message. This is just my LCD display welcome message code. Now, you need to know that this will not work because the newping library uses the same timer as the tone library that's built in. So if you try to use the buzzer, like the passive buzzer, using the tone function, it will interfere with the newping library and it will not compile the code. That's why it's covered. If you want to use a tone, you're gonna have to use a different ultrasonic sensor library or something, or just define the ultrasonic sensors manually, which just delete them. Lastly here, just display for the LCD I have. If you don't want this, delete this all, okay? Delete all this. Now, this is it for explaining the code. I'm sorry this is long. Right now, I'm actually just trying to find solutions and make this code as good as possible. And hopefully, if I find like a better code soon, I will post it for you guys. So here it is. You can see the LCD print working. All right, let's go. I'm gonna show you a big view. Now, this is like 1 out of 4 locations. This is practical in real life testing. Let's go see that. Feel free to speed up the video because I want to show you in real time, but feel free to like speed it up here because it's gonna be a bit boring. Very slow. I'll try to get a good angle. Okay, so the battery's low, so it really can't get over it. I'm just gonna help it a little. All right. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, are you gonna go towards the clear pass over there? Ooh, you crashed, okay. Okay, pretty good. Oh, not pretty good. All right, these things are sort of like hollow. Okay, so, all right. This is a bit, no, this is a fruits, honestly. I hope it goes towards that hallway over there. Okay, just go there. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, this is a kitchen. So, yeah, it's going towards the clear path, as you can tell. Okay, once it gets like near this entrance, okay, it got stuck on a slipper. And we'll do a little closed door testing. Okay, now the door's closed. I'll have it start moving. Let me just click the switch. All right. Let's see what it does. Now, this is just me testing it. Okay. You know. Well, look. Okay, look what it's doing. Obviously you need to look. I need to be better with my camera, but I don't really know. Okay, if it goes towards the clear path, that would be... All right. Okay, kind of shoots here. I think it's an infinite glitch here. Now, this is the truth, Mike. This is practical testing. My controller, I'm not using my controller. Okay, all right. Okay, give up on that, please. Thank you, bro. All right. Okay, once it comes to me, now it should come straight to me, okay? Let's go sit down and wait for it to come. Yeah, look, it's trying to turn, but it's turning way too slightly. So this is where I told you to adjust the numbers of the steer angle, because it turns a little too little. Look at that. Okay, that's nice. Now it should come to me. Now it's because I'm in the clearest path. Now it got stuck, but yeah, we know how it did. Next location is a hallway. Okay, time to test it in this hallway. Okay, I need to get you a good angle. All right, pretty nice. Ooh. All right. Oh, look at that hallway testing. Now, once it enters this room, it will be the third test of the room. And just a minute, okay. Absolutely, wonderful. And it successfully entered the room. Now, just ignore any any mess. Well, there is no mess actually. Or is there? Whatever. I just won't show it. All right. Okay, it's going for a sift. Now, as you can see, it's pretty much a dead end. Let's see what it does. All right, this is an infinite glitch, it seems. I'm gonna move it for the last area. All right, so still the same area. Last test in my small room, or not small, but like in the small area of the room. Let's see how it does, because you're not supposed to be able to drive in the house. Wonderful. I can see so far so good. All right, doing really well. Now, as you can see, the clear path. Now, there's many clear paths, as you can see. All right, you're doing the right thing. I'm just not gonna get in this way. And if it exits the door, that would be wonderful. A little up close on the thingy. Yeah, it got out of the room. Wonderful. All right. Sorry, this is important. You can obviously skip or speed up. Okay, I'm just gonna record until it exits the hallway. I'm sorry if this is taking long, but you know, you can just skip this. You can see it keeps talking every couple of seconds. This is the minute stop function I told you about. Remember? Now, if it were to just keep doing constantly, it would be way more dangerous. Okay. It's okay. I guess I'll stop here. This is the last test spot in a big corridor or hallway. Last minute rant here before I leave. Now, I want to specify on the idea of why I'm trying a lot with these ultrasonic sensors. Personally, when you look up like obstacle avoidance or self-driving, there is actually a couple of really good videos on very good self-driving ultrasonic sensor cars, but there's really hardly any information in the videos themselves. You have to do a lot of research yourself if you really want to know. And now my goal of what I'm doing right now is to make the most of my ultrasonic sensors, because most people you'd ask if you want to make like any properly handling self-driving car is to just buy a LiDAR sensor and a Raspberry Pi and all this setup. And obviously it's 100% true. These things are amazing. They work like really well, but they're very expensive, and I think it's really hard to set up like the LiDAR sensor and the Raspberry Pi and stuff. Code and setup and stuff. Like, it's really complicated, and also the fact that the ultrasonic sensor is really pricey and stuff. And another actually fact is I just want to say is that power consumption, right? the Raspberry Pi and a LiDAR sensor would consume a good bit of amperage. Let's say a Raspberry Pi 5 or 4 would consume you 3 to 5 amps, plus the LiDAR sensor, which could be like 1 amp or whatever, or obviously less. So yeah, for my truck, honestly, I've been thinking about getting a LiDAR sensor, but I don't know if I would, you know, I don't know if I'm qualified to like install it and stuff. Like, I mean, if I really like know enough. And another major issue is the power. I'm using a power bank. Yeah. Okay, a power bank and a lead acid 12-volt battery, which I recommend actually using these lead acid 12-volt batteries, and a good power bank for your projects. It makes things super simple. Obviously, you need a good charger for the lead acid. You can use an old scooter charger. That's 12 volts, or 24. 24 is too much. And yeah, the reason why I don't know. I'm gonna try to make the most out of my ultrasonic sensors. Yeah. My next plan for the car is to, okay, I want to use the ultrasonic sensors to basically program it to be able to get anywhere in the house, like to go to any location it wants in the house, and have checkpoints along the way by specific markers or something. Not physical markers, but like code markers. Yeah. And to be able to navigate the house, and if there is a possible obstacle randomly, it would avoid it and keep following the same route. Now, this is my, like, this is actually the plan that I really want to do. First, I program the self-driving, then I can make a plan of it navigating the house intelligently, knowingly. And also I would want to pair it with the controller. So I would assign different buttons for different areas of the house for it to navigate to, and it would store where it went and where next to go. And it would store navigation in steps, basically. And when it's gonna go back, it has its separate stored steps for going back. And yeah, that's it. Sorry if this is low quality. Honestly, I could have done better, but I just wanted to post it out there, because if I didn't post it, like if I would probably be too lazy to actually do it, like to properly plan out and go through all the steps of making a professional video. I'm sorry. I hope to hear from you. And honestly, I know this video will probably have very low views. Just please don't feel sketched out. I know. Yeah, but you know what this is about. It's not really the views that matter. It's like the information I'm presenting, but it's okay. Like at least I know I put my thoughts out there. Not thoughts, but like I put my work out there to hopefully help some people. Yeah. Goodbye.